moment to let everything clear up. I'm going to share this video real quick because sometimes when I go live, it doesn't it doesn't let you click on the public version of it, and after the video, I have to click um, to unlock it for some reason. So let me just share it real quick. Alrighty there, I've shared it, and now I'm good to go. Um, so I haven't gone live in a long time, actually. I think it's been almost 2 years since the last time I've gone live. Almost 2 years. And the last time I went live, it was titled "I Got the Job Orientation Coming Soon," I think. And it's been going really well. Life's been going fantastic. I've got a family reunion coming up soon, and everything's just been going dandy. There's a lot of political current events going on and a lot of negativity in the world, but I try to maintain, and one of the major ways I express myself is through poetry oftentimes. If you guys go through my playlists, you'll find a poetry tab. I do music sometimes. The music's called Jehohanan's music. Just a couple of rap songs and poems and stuff. But for the most part, most of the poetry is in my playlist tab. So yeah, I've just been exploring and venturing social media and learning new things. I see the latest thing I've seen. One of the funny, I don't want to call it funny, I want to say ironic, is I guess they came over with a peace deal, and then by the time I woke up the next day, Israel had already bombed Iran again. So looks like we're going to be dealing with that in the near foreseeable future. But I try to stay away from the news and politics because I don't really think we're ever being told the truth in terms of political views, in terms of, we watch the movies where we like have the presidents and the elites and these corporate people in these movies, and then in the movie we show them smiling, and then when they get off the cameras they're like, yeah, let's, blah, 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 I'm tired, they unbutton their suit and say, let's go get a drink and conspire against everybody. When I think of politics, that's what I think of a lot of times. I've expressed how much Michelle and Barack Obama have hurt me recently by seemingly to be being best friends with Trump and Bush. For some reason, I don't understand that aspect of life and what's going on there. But I am but a viewer, I guess, because which of us actually have any real power to make them not do these things? And in a world where I express so much where I want free will, who am I to make them do anything? You know what I mean? But it's just good. I got a new house recently. Well, my girlfriend got a new house, and we have a mortgage or whatever, so paying that off, and things have been going well. Both have vehicles. Um, but one thing I do want to talk about is, as I've gotten older, I noticed the world was going towards a shift away from public religion. A lot of times, even if people were religious, there was like an unwritten rule to not talk about politics and religion. Well, now that Trump is out, honestly, I see a lot of times why people felt that, because there's a lot of discord, because there's been discord before, and discourse. I'm sorry, but now for some reason it's getting really ridiculous. I mean, I see people fighting all the time over I don't want to say over nothing. This like new wave of racism and stuff that's coming out between intercontinental races, between China and this place in Japan or that place or Korea or some other place, you know what I mean, or Europe or Germany or France. It's annoying, you know what I mean? And I've said before in many of my videos that people don't really act like that. I'm sorry, I'm unsolving this, by the way. People don't really act like that so much in real life. Yeah, they do when they're in groups, and when people feel like they have a backing behind them, sometimes they can have tribal-like behavior and ideologies and go through group logic and think. But for the most part, like in America, you guys are probably, when you think of America, you probably think of all these people dancing and running the streets and acting a fool. You probably think blah 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 blah. This city, that city, blah blah blah. They're fighting, and but no, people live in their homes just like me, my girl, and our family. They go to work every day. They wave at each other. They smile. They don't just walk down the street, N-word this, N-word that, chimping out, blah, blah. Those are anomalies. That's why people are creating this type of content. It's called rage bait. And essentially, a lot of content is already played out and boring, so to speak, to most people. And so what people do is they do the most opposite, nut-wrenching, irritating shit that you could think of to get this huge reaction. And then once they get this huge reaction or following by saying something provocative or stupid or being unaware about something, then the people follow them and they get a bajillion views and clickbaits and blah blah blahs. But I'm sure y'all already know this, man. I'm just essentially letting y'all know this isn't just social media. I'll give you an example. I see people a lot of times saying like the Matrix or computers or blah blah blah. Do you not know what computers are made after? Us. We have a brain, a mainframe, right? Do you not realize what a lot of these systems and things are made after? Things that actually exist. And so when those things come to my mind, like when I see people on social media saying things like, oh, social media is bad, misinformation, what are y'all talking about? That's humans. Humans have been spreading propaganda and misinformation through different empires and through different political ideologies and religious groups for a long, long time. And when people actually do dirt, the only thing they do is rewrite history and lie about it. And one of the crazy ways I can let you know this is imagine how many, a lot of times people go after and act on what they see. And so imagine a world where we teach Americans, where white and black people were involved with civil rights and we all helped each other become free. Imagine a world where we will all start to become friends. We wouldn't see each other and be like, oh, they're bad or they're bad. We'd be like, oh, yeah, we actually have a lot in common. We're humans, right? But no, what do? They have us basically fight with this bullshit history, right? Then once we fight, we grow up and we have, so what they'll do is they'll try to teach it to you. Oh, this person bad, blah, 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 all these things. Then you're like, no, it's not true. Then you go out into the public and see different news stories or see different big topics of this going bad or that going bad. Then you go, maybe they were right. Maybe that person is, or maybe those people are, or maybe, and then you start to fall for the trap, right? And it's very easy. It can happen to anybody, you know what I mean? A lot of us fall victim to the propaganda in the media. But I'm just bringing this up to say that it didn't just start with social media. It's been going on. Same with like violence and oppression. This type of stuff has been going on for eons. And like, I'll give you an example. My problem with people who like are predominantly atheists and go after the Bible. I'm not saying I don't like atheists. What I'm saying is, in a world where we'll have the argument, oh, God's not real, so blah, blah, blah. Then I see people go in that book and be like, God did this and that, and he's bad and did. To me, that's counterproductive because shouldn't I be saying the humans, the people, this and that? But, I mean, we all have our own thing and we all have our own little way of coping with fairy tales and our beliefs and the things that we've learned. And so, I just try to kick back and enjoy and teach to the best of my ability. I learn things at a different pace, just like everybody else. We all learn and we do what we gonna do. We make mistakes, we heal. That's one of the main problems I have with religion. There's like no, so I look at the Catholics and they're like, pay your penance, talk to this dude behind a booth, you're healed. Then I look at the other religions and they're like the Old Testament. They're like, you fail God or Allah and you're gonna pay. It's like religion should be used as a spiritual coping mechanism, a bridge to help me walk forward in life, to help me think. And so what I be saying, like, okay, with atheists, if you're an atheist, you know good and well you got spirituality somewhere down deep inside. And one thing I will say about atheists are some of the biggest, I don't like saying Christian, but they follow Jesus better than most Christians I ever seen. When somebody says something, a lie or some fanatical shit about an atheist, immediately, no, Jesus didn't say that. God didn't say that. Do. He said love, love, love. Why are you being like this? I'm telling you. And so we all have a we all have a certain aspect of religion within ourselves, whether we say it's the dragon flying through the mystical clouds or the Lord God or Allah, whatever. I'm the type of person that thinks that we need to, I don't want to say mythologize, but we need to tear down this Tower of Babel, and we need to treat religion like what it is, like a coping mechanism. And I don't mean to say, I don't even like saying coping mechanism, because to each of us, our personal religion or whatever we feel or whatever we is real. But the way we create mainstream religions and psycho ideologies and are killing people on the planet for our beliefs, I believe that's what we need to colonize. You know what I mean? Okay, I shouldn't. Yeah, colonize. Like, real talk, I'm going to make a statement. Everything that is not befitting for all mankind on this earth will be dealt with and handled eventually, because the elites only have so long and so many resources before the public goes insane. This is how Christianity actually came to be. Rome was a lot different than Greece and very oppressive, and they had slaves. The Europeans were the Roman slaves. So whenever I see Anglo-Saxons going, oh, Romans and the Greeks and we blah, 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 I'm so confused. It doesn't make sense to me. But in essence, essentially, look at Rome. Rome was a big empire and it collapsed. So just like all these other empires, because you can only maintain that level of aggression and oppression for so long before the very people that you're aggressing against come against you and attack against you. And so the reason why I bring that up is because if we use religion and other institutions to actually be righteous, then we wouldn't have the problem of revolts. It's like John Core Book says, man, it's literally soon as we ready to stop lying and attacking each other and telling the truth about just reality, man, then it'll all literally become better, I guess. I don't, because a person can only say and teach so much before I could give like 100 million metaphors. And it's not the metaphors, it's the person perceiving the metaphor, understanding what the user is saying. And so when John Core Book says that whole book is the dead letter and we need through the spirits, so I shouldn't even say spirit this day and age. When I read these words can be like spelling. And if I read certain words, what I'm doing is I'm self-programming unaware if I'm accepting these words. Even if I don't initially accept what is read, what will happen is they will stay in certain parts of my memory, and then throughout the day or as time goes on, I will begin to build on those foundations. I will give you an example. I asked a person one time, they told me they were super deep into Christianity and they follow Christ and they believe they were a disciple of Christ. And I asked this person, I said, if you were raised in Islam over in a Middle Eastern country, would you still feel this way about Christ? They were like, I said, tell the truth. Don't lie to me. God is true. And they're like, okay, you're probably right. I'd probably be Muslim. I said, and you probably would think something on the lines of the same with Muhammad and Allah, right? And they were like, yes. And that's when I told them, it doesn't matter those different names I just named. What matters is my building blocks, and those are words. How do we communicate? How do we think or know anything? With words. And so I could say some words like, this cube is a lovely cube, and solving this cube will increase my intellect. Or I could say, once all these colors are aligned, the magical gates of something will open, and if I don't align it in time, I could be super harmed. Those different ideas have a very different meaning and effect. I'll give you an example. If you're in a religion, I'm sorry for what I'm about to say. I'm just simply saying, if I was to read the Bible right now, before I read the Bible or know anything about the Bible, I am a person. I am whoever I am. Then what I do is I read these words, and depending on how high I esteem these words, they become numerical value to my heart. When I give these words numerical value, depending on who I am following, if I learn about the word God and give God my numerical value, then instead, now it's not me, who I am. It's God and who I am. I am not saying that's a good or a bad thing. The idea of God and that spirit could cause a person to do righteous things, what they believe will be higher level of consciousness all day. That type of higher level consciousness leads to higher levels of humanity. And so while I would say there's a lot of scriptures that cause harm, that cause destruction, cause this and that, if I don't accept those terms of an agreement, and I simply am looking for wise words, all I'm doing is reading. Okay, I'm gonna make a statement. If you are also religious, I'm sorry for him about if it hurts you. What you see now in religion is not what the same religion was 2,000 to 3,000 years ago. If you do history on Arabic, Greek, even first Roman men before Christianity took a hold, African men, Mesopotamian men, those men were not robe wearing, sacrifice in a cave, plant got no narratives. If you don't believe me, this is the internet. You can go Google everything I'm saying. Those men were very wise. They invented things like mixing metals, where you had the Stone Age, then the Iron Age, and all the Bronze Ages. You had people creating big structures. And hey, what's up, John? How you doing? Hope you're having a great day. I'm just explaining some things about our cultures and how we're all basically human. I've been I've been trying to explain the idea that if you take certain words literally in books, the spelling in those books can cast a spell, sort a speak on a person's mind. And so I tell people a lot of times when I look at them telling scriptures or telling me different things, whatever it is, it doesn't matter the name of that what they follow. What I am listening to are the verbs and the the adverbs and the different words, keywords that tell me their type of character they are and what they will do or something like that. Now, at the same time, people can hide their intentions, but a lot of times it's hard to do that forever, and eventually a person's true side comes out somewhere at some point. But yeah, essentially a person is the type of words that I ingest. So in that book, I'll give you another simple example in the Bible. There's a lot of places where there are curses and there are different words that cause a person to fear or feel like they're about to be enveloped in something. Those very words are creating mental and psychological cages that I adhere to. And then other scriptures that give instructions, I soak those in and soak those in. And throughout the day, I don't even realize it and I'm unaware to it, but I've accepted that as my programming, so to speak. Exactly. Because, like that very example, a person can use metals and create a knife, and a knife can be used to cut vegetables, or you can use those metals to create an axe, or you could end up using that knife to be like Norman Bates or Lizzie Borden. You know what I mean? It's all about the person's character, and what I would hope for is that we, as humanity, become very aware of our actions and no longer. I mean, I know psychosis exists, and for things like that, that's when I truly believe that certain law enforcements, and because that's when you get into chemical imbalances and different things that happen in the mind, like injuries, brain injuries, and things like that. And some people are literally suffering from certain things. But a lot of the other people who I'm talking about and talking to who are playing cosplay with literal words, those people cause a lot of harm to the rest of humanity. And when that type of harm is caused, it is spread throughout the generations. And then I'll give you a simple example where you have atheists that don't want to hear nothing Christians have to say. Or maybe you have people who grew up and found Christ that didn't have it in their life and already heard all this no God shit, and they don't want to hear what they have to say. It's just a simple ideology of the more I begin to open up when I'm comfortable, the more I am able to learn and the more I'm able to know. Because did you know that Arabs will come up to, or Muslims, sorry for what I said, Muslims will come up to you and tell you that Islam is for all people and Africans weren't inherently slaves and that wasn't their role and blah blah blah, even though they're half African. And and I asked them what's the word for black in Arabic because I learned that from Marquette Devon Burton. And they'd be like, oh well, blah blah blah. Yeah, that's the blah blah blah. They didn't know you would know that. And so just knowledge is power. And the more knowledge that we possess, the more power we possess. You know what I mean? And when I say power, I'm not talking about superpowers, although look at everything in this room. If I was still a hunter gatherer, but if they saw me, they would see me with powers, right? I can manipulate fire. I have liquids and a blah, blah, blah. I have electricity all around me and different gadgets and tools that can help me survive. And so, you know what I mean, man? It's all about how we perceive things. I've said many times, an atheist probably wouldn't appreciate me saying this, although they might. They may be open-minded, and I know I don't think Christians appreciate me. What I'm about to say is, look at the spirit of who I'm going to just say who I am instead of using names. Look at the spirit of who I am coming and touching man's hearts, wanting them to be more kind to each other, which leads to empathy, having somebody think of another person's situation and what they're going through. So now instead of people creating war machines and war technology, as much as I don't like Elon Musk, I'm about to get into him in a second because he has Neuralink now, and my dad was actually talking about that and a couple of microchip things, and me and him, I had to tell him something. But imagine a world where it is written that who I am is going to give mankind the clarity to heal deafness, blindness, leprosy, and all these things. When was the last time you saw a leper? That's the first one. Now here's the second one, right? Out of all these diseases that were taking mankind off the planet, how many of them are still doing so with our capacity? Now look, HIV, right? You can sleep. Disclaimer, I'm telling you what I've heard from other medical journals. They have drugs and technology to where people with HIV are undetectable now and can sleep with other people without them contracting it. Cancer, they were curing cancer with dead HIV cells. They were having, you know how I think it's the T virus or whatever it's called, you attack your own T cells. They were having the cancer cells with this form of HIV attack itself so that it wouldn't, when it replicated, it attacked itself. And the person is alive today. I'm not telling to you all to go contract viruses and illnesses. What I'm telling you is, imagine a world where mankind couldn't see or hear before. Now we have before I get to the deeper stuff, hearing aids, right? Now you can hear much longer. Now we have cochlears. They can directly go into the nerves, into the brain, and clear out the ears where you can hear again. They have visual surgeries where they take out old eyes and donated eyes from people who have either passed or organ donors, and they can clone organs. They can clone every organ in your body. They can turn these skin cells back into my stem cells and clone any of my organs in my body. This isn't, sci-fi, they're coming, this is medical. When you guys are done with the Noah's Ark, they're telling you guys now what they have. I'm telling you all, it's all a distraction. Okay, so the more I get into Nephilims of the religious aspect, spiritual aspect, the more I get into was there a flood with Noah and blah, blah. Then I'm going to go to the Noahides and worship those, right? Instead of them telling you the truth, then you're blinded to it all. And then we're just going to fight over it and not understand what's actually happening. So blind men can see again. Deaf men can hear again. The leprosy has been healed, and they have gotten rid of a plethora of diseases. But that's through science. Look up how many scientists are religious. What did they call the most basic particle? The God particle. Because a true scientist with the scientific method can never say God isn't real, because we don't know. Did you know the visible spectrum only allows us to see about this much of the actual universe? You can't even see a black hole, yet you can see it. Oh yeah. Speaking of Dracula, my cat's name is Dracula. And I can assure you, he doesn't like garlic either. But I think it's toxic for cats, so I think that's why. uh, I hope you're having a good day, brother. But yeah, it's an interesting world out there when we get rid of the. I don't even want to get rid of the like when I call it cosplay. Those stories are cool. It's like when I read Harry Potter or when I read. Although we need to tell the truth about where some of this stuff came from in history. That's why people. That's why people are so confounded. Like if you're gonna be an atheist and say I'm not religious in the sense that. So this isn't a oh I hate it. Trust me, I've lit up the religions enough. If I give you skeletal proof of an actual man named John the Baptist and read you his legacy of how he stopped the temple sacrifices according to the Romans, Vespasian and Titus, according to the Bible, the Greek Septuagint, according to the Jewish people, who's Jehohanan ben Zakkai, according to the people of Jerusalem and the Europeans who was looking for Prester John. The man is in a museum somewhere. That was the John the Baptist who y'all go crazy over. Does this take magic? Am I saying he rose on 3 days? But listen to this metaphor. Me finding this, that man is back on the third day. that's coincidence. Like I don't know what that is. I'm just telling y'all that man was beheaded from his people. They created a Jesus Christ through metaphorical ideology, and it literally happened. Now, this could be people knowing this and playing hide and seek like elites do. This could be anything. I don't know. Oh, yeah, Dracula, unless he was hungry. My cat, he's all loving until he gets hungry. Then he tears the back of my ankles up. That shit is painful. Oh, my God. And that's when I know it's feeding time. Because he has his feeding regimen. But sometimes he gets a little bit extra hungry. But yeah, there's so many. When we stop treating the Holy Spirit like a I mean, it is. If you want to describe it as magic, do you believe in magic? But what I'm saying is, when we treat it like it actually is, hey, brother, I love you. I love you too. Oh, you need help here? Yes, and you're willing to help me there too? Cool, man. That's how people get healed eyes and ears when they go into science. They could be a mad scientist, right? Ha ha, nuke, bomb. Let me tell you some irony about Einstein. The smartest man that ever lived, who duped him? They have something called Operation Paperclip. And they brought a bunch of Nazis from various places to America, mainly scientists. IBM, the technological company, was highly tied into the Nazis. So is the country of Ukraine. So they helped Einstein and brought him over. He created a bomb because he didn't want Hitler to have it first. Then after all that happened, which they didn't nuke Germany, I wonder why. That's funny, right? So then, once all that had happened, then after he did that, because he was afraid what the Nazis was going to do, they brought all those Nazi scientists over to America. Did you know America's a German word? Did you know our biggest staple, cheeseburgers, is a German food? You know, there's a lot of interesting things they don't teach us. But the smartest man alive, fight the Nazis, then had to coexist with the Nazis and the white supremacists. It's funny, right? Told you. Now, who's smarter than Einstein? They got his ass. Bruce Lee. Do you know what I believe caused Bruce Lee's death outside of whatever actually happened? Bruce Lee is a Chinese man. Bruce Lee was living through a time when Japan was whooping their ass, or he was the descendant of that. So then, China not wanting any of the rest of the world to have anything about them, Bruce Lee went to America. When he came to America, after the Japanese was whooping his ass, he's thinking, oh, we're allies to the Americans. The Americans got to, you know what I'm talking about? Right, on his ass. So then he had to teach a lot of African Americans and white people that loved him and other Chinese people. Then the Chinese got infuriated. They like, you're teaching these devils? And then there was a whole thing. He went to go fight a man in Hong Kong and whoops his ass. Then shortly after that, when he was making movies, he died. So life is like a box of chocolates. You're going to open it because it says chocolates, and they're all going to be white, and it's going to be like, surprise! There's white chocolate, motherfucker. I got you, like, okay. You would here's my thing. I've read the immigrant applications. I know what you have to do to be an immigrant in this country. If you're from here, there's certain. I know we have our fears and things we got to worry about, but you don't know what it's like for an immigrant. I'm telling you, you don't. If they don't speak positively about basically an immigrant in America dealing with the green card and the application process is like a citizen in a dictator country. You cannot talk bad about the government. You can't talk bad about the people. You can't talk bad about the law enforcement or threaten anybody. Y'all just seen a Chinese student, I think, remember she was talking bad about Israel. She got like 20 years or 10 years, and another Chinese student got deported back to their country just because they were talking about the country. How can you do that if this is a free country? Exactly. So they have to shrill. They have no choice. Some of these immigrants, if they go back to their country, they're dead on sight. You know, it's crazy. I'm from the Congo. I'm not from the. I am Polish Russian. Them same people in Ukraine I was telling y'all about. That's who my granddaddy was running from. He met African Americans and came here as a Jewish man and was like, "What the?" He was like, "There's more." I'm gonna give y'all a phrase. There's more Nazis in America than in the. Right, but these are just family. I have another grandpa on that was in a southern plantation. His name was George, and he was hung. They tell stories about the two all the time. But back to my Polish grandpa, he came here to America, and they had to live in garages because he chose an African American woman. And then my grandma and all of them was born, and blah 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 blah. Now I'm here. So people tell me to go back to my. I have the Congolese, which was heavily colonized, and now pirates are everywhere trying to keep people out. And then you have Poland, right? So, and the Native Americans. I'm getting a strange feeling that a lot of these Native Americans were really dark skinned, and what you guys are doing is the same thing y'all do with almost like my skin are darker, like that red dark, and just like how they made that Ten Commandments with that Eastern Asian looking, Indian looking Pharaoh, and then they had the white dude with the puffy hair as Moses. I think that's what y'all are doing with the Native Americans and the Asians, because I'm seeing a lot of African. You guys, if you find a man named Adrian Broner, he's a boxer, and I've said this many times. When I see chunky African Americans with dark skin, and their eyes are kind of like shut all the time, they remind me of Japanese people, them Japanese like big samurais, sensitive, and sumo wrestlers and stuff. And I'm telling you the similarities of all of us humans, but certain people gain more power when we separate and then feel like we have our own slice of heaven, our culture, and then we fight each other over it. But I mean, it is what it is, and it'll change eventually, I guess. I hope it changes soon. Because when I look at the positivities of every culture, and we bring it all together, we'll still have our diversity and still get to enjoy each and every. Ain't that paradise? What is this? This is hell, right? We're fighting each other for no reason. For what? I'm fighting all these Republicans and blah 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 all this time going, Obama, they're racist. Now look at Obama and Michelle. Wasting my goddamn time. So I'm about to solve this real quick, and if you guys have any questions to ask me, any at all, I mean, I don't care what the question is. Where do you get your strength? How did you find about I am? Who's your greatest inspiration? Blah 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 blah. What's your family life like? Do you hate America? Do you love America? What do you guys want to know? I don't care. If you don't catch me live, you can always just leave comments. You know what I mean? I really don't care, because to be honest, it's all rage bait. And I don't really possess the strength to rage bait y'all. I don't. It's enough negativity in the world. And the only thing I really have to tell y'all is I am who I am and y'all are who you are. I am sends me, who I am sends me. Don't worship any other God. You know what I'm saying? Shit like that, you know what I mean? I am the one who frees from the whatever I am dealing with. Or binds if I will, right? Do I not make my own decisions? Put no gods, you shall have no gods before who I am. No idols. Do not worship them or bow to them. And the heart, the heavens, the earth of the flesh, or in the deep seas, these deep books y'all call nourishment, I guess. Don't bow down to them or worship them. Love who I am with all my heart and soul, and then I can love others the same. And when I say love who I am with all my heart and soul and love others the same, that ain't no joke. Because you become a tyrant real quick, and that shit'll come back on you. Like spitting outside of a car when you're going 90 miles per hour. Shit can flick right back, don't it? But yeah, man, I just want to solve this, and maybe if I solve this, they'll see this and be like, oh my god, he's a genius. And they're going to watch some video of some little kid solving it in 0.3 seconds. And y'all should know when they use those cubes, those are the speed cubes. These don't turn the same way. They sound like mechanics, like you hear that? So it's a little different. They can just spin it and it'll keep spinning. If I spin, that's about the furthest it goes. So yeah, maybe some of you want to know how I'm so intelligent and how I'm so smart and how I found all this out. Well, it just takes perseverance, man, and studying. You gotta, sometimes, I know a lot of people are lonely and have nothing but a lonely time. For those people, I say find something that is interesting. You don't have to know everything. Find one thing that's interesting. Learn all about that, go down a rabbit hole, whatever. Then find something else, or play something else, or do this. There's so much to do in this day and age. I think that's honestly why we're so bored all the time. We can't seem to find that thing. Because in the past, we would have, well, we had to build some sticks, make a fire, hunt our food, blah, 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 blah. Build a house. Now, since we have our minds to worry about instead of our physical bodies, I think, man 50,000 years, humans are going to be in that crane body where the brain on Ninja Turtles, and he's punching himself back in the crane body. And he's like, get me in here. Ah. Oh, thank you, thank you. Yeah, shit, I ain't nothing but a kid myself. Or as my mother say, don't say kid, that's a goat. Say child. My moms and aunties, I couldn't say ain't. They used to be on my bumper. Oh my goodness. But that's good, you know what I mean? They used to correct me about everything. Oh my goodness. It just used to be. Oh my goodness. I got into nostalgia. Just okay, there we go. Oh, I still made the cross. I fixed it. See, the more I learn these things, man. And thank you, Jonathan Sama, for the inspiration. You're my inspiration. You're one of the lights in my life. How's that song go? All right, let's see here. We're going strong. Solving this all night long. Okay, now it's on the sides. I gotta do this. Yeah, solving the cube while chilling on the tube. Yeah, yeah. Solving it one step at a time. Solving things in my mind. Oh yeah. Uh-oh. 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 Oh shit. He about to solve it. Oh my god. Oh. Go JB. Go JB. Go JB. He the realest. He the realest. Y'all know that scripture in David where he be like, I had to strengthen myself. When I tell y'all to read them Psalms and different, without becoming psycho oppressors, never forget, like Simba Father said, and Simbessa and her mother, because women are queens and don't forsake the women, but read some of them things and stop, which, okay, I left a comment to a friend recently. What you guys are doing is taking out a Yahweh temple or a god or whatever, or yeah, and you giving it to random gods and stuff. Because Yahweh means I am. Y'all keep the Yahweh God of the storm, Cana means I am. So a lot of times people are taking out of who I am and giving to these imaginary gods. Stop doing that. Strengthen yourself and take back, like Daniel eating the vegetables. Don't eat all the king's meat. You're going to poison yourself and be like, oh, I can walk on water. Be humble. A little bit at a time. Mix it with reality. See what's good for me. How's it helping me cope and navigate? Is it good for the rest of the people around me? Am I being humble, humiliated? Am I going around, thank you, good sir, can I help you? Or you're going to burn in hell because you didn't pluck your eye. Jesus. It's about that balance. So read a little bit, strengthen myself, who I am, get strong. Don't get too strong. All over the book. You know what I mean? And suddenly over time, I will begin to see a change of character, a change of programming, a change in. I leave subtle little scrolls and things at the bottom of my pages, at the bottom of each of these videos. And I have a lot of videos. There's playlists. Some of those videos are old. I'm updating. You know, I update constantly. I'm forever evolving. I'm forever expanding as an expansive mind, as the masculine, divine masculine. Give what the divine feminine wants, and they get on the couch, and we go squirt a portrait everywhere. However you want to look at it. What I'm telling y'all is, it's up to me. And once I am ready and strengthened enough, maybe I can read a little bit of the red words in the New Testament, read some Psalms, but as I'm reading, instead of saying the Lord God and treating myself like, oh, I am who I am. When I see God say who I am, spirit of mine, word of mine, children of mine, people of mine, who I am, put all that back in the temple righteously, and don't be taking random gems out the. Don't be taking random gems like that little monkey on the lad. Remember the mound melted. If any of these metaphors make sense, I'm just take some of that chrysalis, sardonyx, chrysolite, emerald, whatever it's called in the Revelation. Build up your little New Jerusalem. And then who I am already is coming down, and the avatar of fire that comes out the magical temple of who I am and gets rid of all the stuff on the earth. That's a metaphor for Moses' words and different prophets. But what I'm telling y'all is, please be righteous. And if you're going to read that book how I'm telling you to, read it righteously. Step on the serpent, fuck out my way. I am who I am. Get all this shit out the way. Where's my garden? Oh, here I am. And read what's for you. You want to read Gideon and Joshua and act like you're Gideon and Joshua, or the angel in the fire, or whatever. But be righteous and humble with it. Think of that to destroy the demons within me righteously. Do I mean go around going, oh no, the Satan's attacking? No. Just be humble, man. If you remain humble, like how you're supposed to be, just like I said, when we stop literalizing magical spirits and all sorts of stuff, and just remain humble and tell the truth. Tell who I'm the truth. And then everything will be okay. Cool. Peace out. Oh, I solved it again.